ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa says it's taken the ANC 82 years to liberate the people of South Africa. However, he says the struggle continues as the people have not been fully liberated without economic emancipation. This as the party continues to celebrate its 113th anniversary, leading to the January 8th statement event this weekend at the Mandela Park Stadium in Khayelitsha, Cape Town. As we continue to reflect on the history of the ANC, we're now joined by the member of the ANC National Executive Committee, Steve Letsike. Steve, great to have you, and compliments of the new year. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thank you so much, Lee, and good morning to you and the viewers of Morning Live.
So I suppose we'll begin the conversation by asking, why is it so important that we celebrate the 113th anniversary and continue to give the January 8th statement for the history of the ANC?
Leanne, really the most important thing, the idea and the task that the ANC has had since its establishment 113 years ago has always been the idea of liberation. And that has always been characterized by really dealing with the oppressive systems, the legacy of colonialism, but also liberating people to be economically and socially free, where they can thrive and they can prosper. And that task, indeed, is a task that we are still arrested with. We have had a breakthrough since 1994 with democracy, with making sure that South Africans have got access, to different services, opportunities, but up to now, not every South African thrives in the manner that we want. We are still dealing with the systems and the legacy of colonialism. And it is important today that we celebrate ANC, but we also look at the task ahead of us into ensuring that South Africans, all of them, can prosper.
And certainly a big task ahead of the government. And I mean, let's look at the ANC and some of the words and utterances from the president yesterday during the cake cutting ceremony, and the build up to, of course, we'll see the main event taking place on Saturday. But some of the words he was saying, and I found this interesting, where Ramaphosa spoke to last year's election polls and the results, saying basically that some thought that the party would only get 30% of the vote. He goes on to say they were very disappointed. The ANC still lives, the ANC still leads, and the ANC will continue to lead this country going forward. It was almost a bit of a celebratory tone, but it was anything but celebratory after the elections, losing favour with a lot of South Africans. Surely this is worrying the party a lot.
No doubt, Leanne, and this does worry the party that ANC has suffered a setback, electoral setback. But there are a number of reasons that we have to consider, in terms of the character of the ANC, how ANC itself has completely worked around what it needs to be achieving, but also the challenges that ANC is confronted with. You will recall that in the 55th conference of the ANC, the big task that we were mandated with is renewal agenda, that the many challenges that ANC has been confronted with must face. And that also speaks about renewal with the people, where hope is restored, where the services are reaching people on time, and even where challenges that ANC is not governing in other municipalities or provinces like the Western Cape, you must still give hope to South Africans. So the electoral setback that we've seen a decline, is also setting the tone on how unhappy South Africans are. But at the same time, people did not come out in their numbers to vote. So we've had entirely all parties have suffered for that. But what you can actually look at it is that people did not come out. And that also speaks about the level of trust into the parties that are competing and that are also representing society. But as ANC, we are comforted with the fact that we have a task to complete, given the mandate by the ANC members to say, go and renew the mandate with the people, go and renew the institution of the ANC. And what President Ramaphosa was displaying is to say that even those who wanted to see us come down, they are not thriving, because we still remain a relevant organization that people have hope for. And we will do our level best, those of us who remain within the organization, to restore hope for South Africans and ensure that we move towards quality of life and transforming the lives of South Africans.
Yeah. Many would look and criticize this and say that it's been 30 years of no hope, because we've just seen it deteriorate over the years and lose favor with a lot of the voting public. And no matter what way you look at it, I mean, getting 40% in the election is certainly not something to be proud of. And many would look at this. So we saw the president going, when he was on Robben Island, saying that he was going and drawing inspiration from those, and the courage from those who suffered immensely from their lives. They suffered, they were tortured, they were humiliated, talking about those that were on Robben Island. Many of the supporters of the ANC say that the members now have lost its original ideals, and that those members they're referring to don't exist anymore in the ANC. What would you say to the critics of the ANC?
Well, I think we have to understand that, every now and then, if you have even a factory, you constantly have to make sure that whatever you produce, you have to make sure it's of high quality, it's of the moral value of principles or organization. And every member of the ANC must possess that level of political ideology that understand our NDR, but also that understand why we are activists of this organization. And you lose out when members don't carry this value consistently. You lose out, from all the extreme volunteer levels. It doesn't matter at what level you are operating or you are deployed in, but every activist of the ANC must possess a complete moral conduct on behalf of the organization. And the constitution of the organization speaks to that. And when you speak about losing hope, have you contributed your own responsibility as a member? And have you restored that level of hope? You cannot do wrong and expect that people will have hope. You cannot do, if you carry out the right way of your own activism in the party, you will then continue to carry the hope for the people. So it's not only just ANC members we are talking about, we are also talking about ANC supporters or society here in South Africa. So the hope of ANC lies across the spectrum of a whole society. The broadness of ANC still speaks to what we all contribute towards a national democratic revolution. And those principles must be upheld by everybody. And that's why ANC, when we say we are characterizing ourselves as a non-sexist, non-racial organization that liberates and transform the lives of people, is that people must be with us. And ANC is people's movement. And that's why we rely on people and not only just the members to carry the hope of liberation idea.
Certainly, when you look into the workings of the ANC and the position that it's in right now, there is a lot of one could call it instability in a way. I mean, you look at what's happening in Gauteng as one example. We look at different areas where, formations are struggling with this new government that it has to work under, being the government of national unity. And this is obvious. And then, of course, on the sidelines, you've still got former President Jacob Zuma, who issued a letter to the ANC yesterday saying that he wants his membership back. He's just basically saying that he sent the legal papers to the ANC to demand the reversal of his expulsion. So there really is a lot going on within the ranks of the party and within the dynamics of the party. Is this something that could eventually see the breakup of this party? Or do you think it's strong enough to withhold and withstand a lot that's going on right now?
We remain very strong as ANC members. We believe in the work. We believe in the mandate, we believe in the constitution of ANC, but we also believe in the constitution of South Africa. All these kind of arrangements, called GNU, is an arrangement because South Africans in their vote have expressed their dissatisfaction of all parties. And that's why, our constitution made provision to say, if no party gets an overall majority, there must be a way of working out. And that's why we find ourselves in the government of national unity. But what we must understand, we've got different ideologies, but with our differences, we can work. And that's why we are where we are. But if you're speaking about the ANC in this case, and the ANC itself will not be divided by those who speak outside the ANC. ANC speaks in one voice. We are united. And when we have our differences, we deal with them internally and we sort them out. There are people like former President Jacob Zuma, who have opted to be, anti-revolutionary in their own approach. And then you cannot want to speak about the ANC. His case, his matter, as President Ramaphosa and as our Secretary General has spoken, their matter has been dealt with. So we won't be disrupted by what he's saying now. We are now in Western Cape. ANC is in the good mood of, working and reconnecting, reclaiming, the lost grounds with the Western Cape people. And we are focusing on this during our 113th year celebration. And that's what we are focusing on. We are going across the country. We are going across the province, including the regions of Western Cape, where we are speaking to our people and listening to some of the issues they are confronted with.
All right, we leave it there for this morning. Thanks so much for talking to us here on the programme. That was member of the ANC National Executive Committee, Steve Letsike, reflecting on the history of the ANC and also some of the issues within the party now as it leads up to that January 8 statement that will be delivered over the weekend on Saturday.